Hey folks, this is Pastor Jim from Crosspoint Church in Bettendorf, Iowa. All of us have had the experience at some point in our life where we've made a decision in haste. We didn't properly understand all of the facts. We didn't pray about it. We certainly didn't seek the counsel of wise people. And the result, of course, is we've made a terrible decision that had disastrous consequences that we had to then live with for many, many years, and for some of us for the rest of our lives. This isn't new. As long as there have been people making bad decisions. In fact, Joshua and the leaders of Israelites find themselves just in such a scenario. After having success in Jericho and in Ai, they are now planning a broader military campaign throughout the land of Canaan. Many of the Canaanite tribes have coalesced and are united against the Israelites. And in the midst of all of this, a small tribe known as the Gibeonites, who live just a few miles away from the Israelites, have come up with a plan to avoid war. What they've done is they've sent a delegate to the leaders of the Israelites, and these delegates are giving the impression that they've traveled from a faraway, distant land. Their clothing is tattered, their shoes are worn out. Their bread is moldy, and their wine is in wineskins that are dry and cracked and have been repaired. And they go to the leaders of Israel and they say, "We've traveled from a distant land and we've come to make a treaty with you." You see, the Gibeonites understood something about Hebrew law. They knew that God had forbidden them to make treaties with the nations that were immediately surrounding them within the land of Canaan, but that they could make treaties with nations that were afar off. So the nation of Israel, the leaders of Israel, they look at the moldy bread and the tattered clothing, they sample the bread, and they hastily agree to the treaty, thinking that the Gibeonites live many, many, many miles away. 3 days later, they find out that the Gibeonites only live a few miles away from them, and of course they're furious. But Joshua and the leaders of Israel remind the people that we made this treaty, we made this covenant, and we need to honor it, otherwise God's anger will be turned towards us. We learn a lot from this story. Some of it's really simple. The first thing that we learn is that we shouldn't make decisions in haste. We should consider all of the details. We should consider all of the consequences. We certainly should pray and seek the counsel of wise people. Otherwise, the results are usually pretty bad. The second thing that we need to understand is that this is repetitive behavior from the nation of Israel. They had just done this when they went to battle against the city of Ai. They didn't understand the military forces that were aligned against them. They underestimated the strength of the city, and because of that, they sent in too small a force. They didn't seek counsel from God, and the result was terrible. They were routed and people died. You know, we find ourselves in repetitive patterns, dysfunctional patterns. And we have to do all that we can to not continue to repeat the mistakes of our past. We need to learn from them, to grow from them. This was something that was difficult for the nation of Israel. Which leads me to our third point. The fact is, we're really no better than they are. In fact, we live in a fallen, broken world, and our heart is prone to wander away from God, just like a little wayward lamb or sheep would wander away from the flock. In fact, there's a great hymn that many of us grew up with called "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing," and one of the stanzas says, "I'm prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, take and seal it for thy courts above." The fact of the matter is, when we find ourselves in those positions where we've wandered off, we've repeated the mistakes of our past, we've made bad decisions, we are now living with the consequences. It's in those times that we shouldn't despair. We shouldn't become overly critical of ourselves and judgmental of ourselves or of others. It's in those times we need to show grace and love and patience and mercy. And it's in those times we need to look to Jesus. The person who wrote the book of Hebrews described Jesus as the author and the finisher of our faith. Jesus started this race. He's going to finish it. We can trust him with these. If you find yourself in one of these moments, going through sort of this season where you've repeated sin patterns, you're feeling like a failure, you're feeling like a loser, and you're about ready to despair, it's in these times that we turn to Jesus. We're going to talk more about that this Sunday at 9:15 and 11. I hope you can make it there. I'll see you then.